Old. Did you see any
Oh,
of the trailers for that?
oh yeah. I didn't see it because I felt like the trailers was. I know exactly what this movie is. It's an
Oh
M Night
yeah.
Shyamalan movie. It's called Old. The trailer made me laugh though. I thought,
Oh, dude,
yeah, I
it's
could see
so
myself
bad it's
doing
good.
this.
It's
Yeah.
so bad it's good. And there's this one moment. It's kind of this is no spoilers. So I watched it when I think I mentioned to you a few weeks ago when I was coming back down from Toronto where I'd been up all night drinking and I was still loopy and on a weed gummy in the Toronto airport. It was a shit show. I was in line for 3 hours and I got on the plane finally and I was still feeling pretty jangly, so I didn't want to just try and sleep. So I just watched. I was like, "What's the dumbest, funnest movie I could find?" I found Old. The premise is these people, this family goes to a hotel, kind of like what I just did. They go to an all-inclusive resort on the beach, and then one day, with a few of the other hotel guests, they go to a secluded beach. And then when they're on the beach, everyone starts aging rapidly. There's a million holes in the plot. Firstly, these people are aging and they're getting older. Like, so the kids are getting bigger. For some reason, their clothes don't stretch or break. And they also like when M Night Shyamalan gives himself a really cheesy cameo as the bus driver who drops them off at the beach, and he's like, "Don't forget your food, guys." And he's got this huge like cooler of food. He makes them like he's one of the English guys like, "This is rather a lot of food. Why do we need this much food? We'll only be here for a few hours." And he's like, "Oh, just take it, just take it." So anyway, they've got this like huge amounts of food, and apparently that's what they're eating when they're aging rapidly. But there is this. It was hilarious, but also incredibly disgusting moment at the same time where there's these two little. There's this little boy in the main family, and then there's this other little girl who's already on the beach, and they're like roughly the same age when it begins. They're like 7 or 8 years old, respectively. And so then it cuts to them after like the first few hours where they've become teenagers. And there's this other catastrophe on the beach, like an old woman has keeled over. She's had a heart attack, and so all the all the adults attending to this old woman, and then these two teenagers who still have the minds of an 8 and 9 year old find themselves in a tent together,
Oh Jesus.
and and you can see where this is going. It's hilarious on so many different levels because it's just these like unknown actor. I've never seen them in anything else, and like this is their big break in a Hollywood film. This is like their big moment, and they're in a tent, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm just having all these new feelings inside my." And it's just hilarious. It's kind of like when someone's pretending to be intellectually disabled when they're like they they just want to act in a movie, but they have to pretend to be slow.
Yeah,
But in
because
this,
that's M. Night Shyamalan dialogue. He does not know how to write human behavior at all.
and he does not how to write 8 or 9 year olds with the 17-year-old body. Let me tell you that for free. So anyway, there's all this cheesy dialogue in the temple, like, I'm just having so much more feelings in my body and my mind is changing.
Well,
And they're
part
just
of
kind
your
of,
body, Billy.
they're staring into each other's eyes. And so then it cuts back to they've resolved the woman gets up. She's like, "Oh, I'm feeling better now. I don't know what happened to me." She's got a blood nose or something. And then one of the parents looks across down the beach and
I know what you're gonna say.
the girl who's like has now got like a bump. And they're like holding hands as they're walking down the beach. I was like crying with laughter by myself on the plane, but also kind of like sick to my stomach because I was like, M. Night Shyamalan has kind of he's like slipped in, he's smuggled child sex into this like movie that was this mass mainstream, very kind of like service level horror film. And so I had a good laugh, but then the hangover started to kick in and I started feeling icky. The fact that I just kind of M. Night had got me privy to some child sex.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my most recent experience with a very schlocky bad horror movie that was so bad it was good.